I shared it again.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I shared the link again to people, the messenger to come on in.
So, if you go to, we just posted the
I
link,
shared it
Jack.
again.
Do you have that information, Jack? I'm sorry, what was that?
I shared the link again to people, the messenger to come on in.
Great, and I'm going to put it
So,
in the chat
if
as
you go
well.
to, we just posted the
I
link,
shared it
Jack.
again.
Do you have that information, Jack? I'm
Yeah, so
sorry,
that's
what was
something that
that?
I'm
I
working on right
shared the
now. I
link
do
again
have it.
to
I'm going to put it in
people,
the chat right now.
the messenger to come on in.
Great, and I'm going to put
So,
it in the chat as
if you go
well.
to, we just posted the
I
link,
shared it
Jack.
again.
Do you have that information, Jack?
Okay, so, all right, please forgive me. There's a technical thing here. I'm getting the link up right now. So,
Oh, yes, it will be. So again, thank you for those who joined. Please share it on your social media pages, the link. And Jack has it right there on the screen. Um, you can also watch it on our YouTube channel live for those for some reason who don't have Zoom and can't get in. And uh, registration for all sessions will be available at passengersunited.org, upward and forward. So please register there and get in. And again, we're all here. So we have some house rules. Please keep your microphone muted and your camera turned off, I'm sorry, until it is your turn to speak during the Q&A session. The moderator reserves the right. Jack, can you pull that screen up?
yeah, just bear with me. I think this is on a loop. Hold on one second.
It's all right.
Yeah, this is all going to be, this is all just common sense. Of course, respect each other. Please remain, of course, muted until it's your turn to speak during the Q&A session. And of course, respect each other. That's basically the gist of it.
Jack, is the music playing? I don't hear the music. All right, everyone, we're going to start the event. So again, good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank you for joining us this afternoon. My name is Charlton D'Souza. I'm the president and founder of Passengers United. And I am so honored to have all of you here. And we're actually honored at Passengers United to be holding this event. Um, we just want to give a special shout out to Jack Narenberg, our vice president here at Passengers United, for helping put all the technical stuff together. Um, and it's very hard doing all these technical things, but Jack is the technical guru. He knows how to get all the stuff done. So we did have some technical issues, but I just want to thank all of you for joining. Jack, did you want to say a few words on rules and decorum? Thank you.
Oh, yes. Thank you very much, Charlton, and welcome to our very first Upward and Forward event. I'm so excited to see all of you today, whether you're here on Zoom or on the live stream on YouTube. Just a few house rules. As you saw before, please, we are going to have a Q&A session at the end, but until then, please keep your microphones muted, and for the purposes of the live stream, so we can make sure that the live stream is actually capturing everything correctly and focusing on the right people, please keep your cameras off as well until it's your turn to speak at the Q&A session. Of course, if you do wish to speak at the Q&A session, please click the raise hand button, and of course you'll be called on in the order you raise your hand. And of course, obviously, please keep your remarks and your questions relevant, appropriate, and of course, please treat everyone with respect. We are going to be touching on some sensitive topics today, so I just wanted to put that out as a disclaimer. And so please be respectful of each other, and I just wanted to let you know of that up front. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it back to Charlton to introduce our keynote speaker today.
Sure. And so all of you are probably wondering, how did Passengers United get involved in this project and in this mission? So I know Massiel Lugo because I attended the first rally, and I remember that day it was pouring rain. All of our shoes, pants, clothes, everything was soaking wet. All of us were on there, and it was quite the experience. And even before that, Passengers United has been very involved in Jackson Heights with the Queen's Bus redesign. I know Nulla, who runs the 34th Open Streets, Jim, and just all the electeds out there. Catalina knows me. Congresswoman AOC knows me. Jessica Rojas knows me. Hiram Montserrat knows me. Talia, everyone. So this issue was really bad. And COVID-19 hit, Jackson Heights was devastated. I mean, when COVID-19 hit, that community has been faced through so much. And as I can see now, Hiram Montserrat has joined us on the line as well, with his colleague. Thank you for joining. But there was so much happening in Jackson Heights. People died. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of people died during COVID-19. So what we're going to be talking about today is the human trafficking situation that's happening on Roosevelt. And, I was so honored to be invited to the rally, the first rally, to be there. There was so much going on, and we were honoring Massiel Lugo today. She's a very brave, determined woman who got the police permits for the rally, went to the 115th precinct, organized the community along with a colleague, and she's going to get into that when she starts speaking. But it was a very emotional day for all of us that were there, and I believe only one elected official showed up. None of the other electeds showed up that day, and that was very, very sad. And I know that's tough. So let's get into it. So I want to introduce Massiel Lugo. Her name is Massiel Lugo, but I call her Marcy. So yeah, take it away. Marcy,
Hey
you there?
everyone. Yes. Hey everyone, thank you for joining. This is great. Yeah, my name is Massiel Lugo, but everyone says Massiel Lugo because that's how I go by on social media. So yeah, I'm a paraprofessional, I'm a single mom and a community activist. I honestly, the way I just started speaking out was because COVID-19 happened and it drastically changed the community. This community was never perfect, but it was never the way it looks today. We were one of the most impacted communities from COVID-19. I had a lot of neighbors that passed away from COVID. Elmer's Hospital was one of the hospitals that was hit the hardest. And after things started opening up is when I started to see the changes. We started to see prostitutes. We started to see more men outside drunk. Then I started to see like tents getting built around the neighborhood and, homeless people and people doing drugs and needles on the floor. And I was just confused and really shocked about what was happening in the community. It went from me being able to walk around with my kids to me never walking around with my kids. Like the past 2, 3 summers, my son is 7 years old and he doesn't even know what community we live in because we always drive out far. I never walk around here. It's just very unsafe. I can't even walk my dog. It's scary. I don't know exactly why the change happened. And obviously when the borders opens up, that was a big reason as well. And unfortunately, this community got hit the hardest with all of these changes. And yeah. And that's why I just started to speak out. And the first time I spoke out was because of the vendors. It was to the point that we couldn't walk outside. There was vendors, hundreds and hundreds of vendors, starting from 74, going past Junction Boulevard, going all the way down to like 108th Street. And yeah, I couldn't even walk. So I know the vendors had their first protest 2 years ago, 2 summers ago, and I went by myself. I just had the courage to go alone. I went with a sign, and the sign said, I love my community, but we're losing our community. And that's when I started getting more attraction. Ramses, and actually, that's where I actually met Ramses as well because he was watching from the train station, and I think he knew things were about to get ugly. And they did, like, the vendors came and they started crowding me and they broke my sign. And Ramses, like, came to my rescue and he was like, she's allowed to be here too. She's just expressing. And they did not expect that. And honestly, that was a great outcome. A lot of news outlets spoke to me and they agreed that what was happening was already too much. And then, yeah, that's where it all began. And then we had a protest that following summer. Me, Ramses, also Lupita, we organized a protest regarding the prostitution. We were more focused on that during that time with all the prostitution and the brothels that were happening because there was and there still is like 5 brothels on every block. And again, I always tell people because they say, oh, that community has always had those issues. I've grown up here. I was born and raised here. I'm 32 years old. When I was a little girl in high school, in my 20s, I didn't see any of that. Those things did exist, but they were hidden. And it was during a time that children were not out. It was like at 1 a.m. and things like that. I never saw those things growing up. And now it's like my kids are seeing those things. And yeah, it's very upsetting. This past summer, I was very sad because I'm like, I couldn't even take my kids to the park. I'm like, where can I take them out? A lot of the times we had to stay home or I had to like spend more money and like Uber somewhere else. So yeah.
So Marcy, Christopher Leon Johnson was the one who introduced me, and I remember seeing his video and seeing the video of you at the rally.
Mhm.
And we all volunteered for all of them. All of them. We did volunteer for all of them at some point, these electeds. And so when I saw that, I said, wow, we have to get involved. I remember calling you that very evening, and I called you, and then you told me about the rally, and then I came out there as well. So yeah, Christopher Leon Johnson, you got it right. But it was quite an intense video. We're actually going to post some of that up, and we'll have the links for that later so you guys can see all that. So I have a line of questions that I want to ask you. The first question, Jack, can we play the video of the Pix 11 News interview first before I get to the line of questions so people can see that? Can you pull that up? So while Jack is pulling that up, I know that putting a rally and getting people together, that was really hard, but you were able to organize, I think there was like 100 people there, and Jack is pulling up the video now. Go ahead, Jack.
During school hours, they're out. All the prostitution is taking up every single block. They will be out with their pimps, and they don't care.
Massiel Lugo is 14 years old and taking the number 7 train home from high school for the first time. With a Kirby doll on her book bag, her walk on Roosevelt Avenue is a jolt out of childhood innocence.
I've seen teenage boys go up to the prostitutes.
In one busy spot on 90th Street, men are led downstairs to a brothel on a regular basis.
This is turning into a red light district in Bangkok. You walk up and down from the 70s all the way down to the hundreds. And all you're going to see are different massage parlors with women outside soliciting men. There's no moral compass anymore.
Pix 11 even found women sitting on mattresses outside a furniture store near 93rd Street. One of many scenes unsettling Jaylene's mother.
I grew up in this neighborhood. I've been here for 31 years. I was born and raised here, and what I'm seeing here today is not what I grew up seeing.
We have been reporting on sex workers and trafficking on Roosevelt Avenue for nearly 20 years. The numbers we're seeing now seem unprecedented.
This is happening during school hours, and it's even worse at night.
On a recent Friday, Pix 11 News saw activity in the 80s on Roosevelt Avenue, with one man apparently steering customers to a spot that was close to a barber shop.
We are seeing more Latina women doing prostitution. I think those women have no other options.
Some are Venezuelan, Colombian, and they are having their own massage parlors alongside with the Asians.
By day, Pix 11 News noticed a row of women near a physical therapy office on 92nd Street. The manager inside telling us it's hurting his business.
Because patients, they don't want to come in to do therapy because they are being harassed.
We spotted a surveillance camera over the tiny hallway where the alleged brothel is located, which had wallpaper on its door. Eddie said police shut it down several weeks ago.
I was happy, and then after 2 weeks, they came again.
The manager of a cell phone store on the other side is also aggravated.
Porque nos afecta el negocio. Los clientes no quieren entrar, aparte de...
In late September, Massiel Lugo organized a march along Roosevelt Avenue, carrying posters in the rain. But she said she's having a hard time getting the attention of politicians. At one point, she attended a town hall run by the Queensborough president, Donovan Richards.
When he ended the meeting, I said, what about all the questions regarding prostitution? Because we all submitted questions regarding the prostitution, and they skipped all those questions. He did not like that I spoke out. He said, do not call out. But when the cameras turned off, he spoke to me on the side, and he told me this has been a problem for many years. And I was like, not to this extent.
Mayor Adams, come back here and start taking care of business. We need New York and we need Queens to start to look the way it's supposed to. And it's not like this.
Mayor Adams has told us he'd be willing to make a visit with us to Roosevelt Avenue. He has already checked out the situation at least once at 1:30 in the morning. But we explained to the mayor what school kids are exposed to during the day. We've also made contact with the borough president's office, and we'll have more tomorrow night at 10. I'm Mary Murphy, Pix 11 News.
If you have a
Yeah, that was a great interview.
So guys, let's just give her a round of applause. Jack, can you pull up the video with the yellow sign at the protest, please? So while Jack is pulling up that video, wow. I'm so happy that Mary Murphy covered the story and covered all the angles that needed to be covered. Wow. And this was a year ago, am I right?
Yeah, this was a year ago.
Yeah, because the rally that Mr. Ramses and y'all held that in October, I believe that rally was.
Yeah, I think a little before October.
September was.
Yeah, like the very
Yeah.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Jack, is that video ready? Here we go.
Aquí enfrente, al lado del banco, también está otra casa en donde a diario están también ejerciendo la prostitución. Si nos damos cuenta, aquí cerca tenemos una escuela en donde los niños pasan a diario. Tienen que estar viendo.
What is wrong with her? All right, yeah. So there was a woman who pushed me. Yeah, I don't know. And she just pushed me into the rain. Like I was like, uh-oh. It was really bad that day. Everybody got drenched. But I was so proud of those young people that day. And I said to myself, wow, every elected official in Jackson Heights watching that should be ashamed of themselves. Where were they? What were they doing? Why didn't they do anything? And so this is what needs to be called out. So before we get into that, and I think now, so the goal of today's event, and I already spoke to Hiram yesterday, we had a phone call. So what we're doing is we're having a human trafficking summit. We're putting that together. And one of the other things is we're putting the nonprofits together. Jack, did you want to show us that video of Make the Road real quick? Let's play that. The one where I called them. Because I want you to see this and I want to get your reaction to it. Marcy. Okay, Jack, when you're ready. So I actually called some nonprofit organizations, and what we found was that there's very few, I think there's maybe only one organization that Councilman Moyer's involved in, and that's it. But this is Make the Road New York. This is Make the Road?
Yes.
Yes, hi. I have a question I wanted to ask you. Does your organization provide any immediate outreach to exploited women in Jackson Heights? Like women who are involved in human trafficking or anything like that?
Oh, no, we don't have any services like that.
Okay, and what about wraparound services? Like if they need to come in to get like a food benefit, like help with groceries or help with social services, do y'all provide that?
Yeah, so we provide here the services are like the food pantry. They can come Tuesdays and Wednesdays from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. because the person in charge for the food pantry is here those days and those times, and they can speak with him.
And do they need to show like do they need to have proof of SNAP or any food benefits so they can just come in?
No, for the food pantry, that doesn't matter. Like they just bring their proof of like an ID of who they are. That's it.
Right. And you guys don't have like any outreach services where you'll provide like contraception or like, condoms and stuff like that or to help them?
No.
Okay. And y'all don't have like an outreach team like that goes out on the streets and does like community outreach?
Yeah, we do have an outreach team. Let me see.
Make the road.
We do. I can give you like an email so you can contact them.
Sure. And what's the email?
Give me a second just so I can find it. Okay. So the email will be Daniela, so it's DAN.
Got it.
IELA.
Okay, Jack, I think we get it. Got it. So one of the things that I think we need to do is, because what I'm beginning to realize is that the community has to come together and school all these elected officials, because at this point there's no communication. We're going to speak to Hiram in a few minutes. We're going to get his take on what happened. And I know I've been critical with Hiram on Facebook. Talia called me yesterday, but we're going to get to him. But there are some questions that I have for you. And one of the questions I have, Marcy, is, so when a woman gets raped, right?
Mhm.
Let's just say on the street, or it's a big thing, right? And the person gets arrested. These women, if you've seen them on Roosevelt, they look very pale. They have concealer makeup. You could tell that they've either been beaten, they've been distressed. And these women, do you believe that these women are getting raped over and over again in these brothels, the ones that are being trafficked?
I believe some have a choice and some don't have a choice. I believe some of these women who are working as prostitutes are doing it because they want to, but I also believe a lot of more of them are doing it because they have no other choice. Um, I know you got to speak to one of them, and she was saying that she didn't have enough to even buy groceries, and this was the only form of work that she could find. Not too long ago, I forgot what year, but actually where I live up the block, there was a case of a few women that were being trafficked, and 911 was called, and they saved a couple of these women because I think one of them jumped out the window and was able to escape, and the police came and rescued a few of them. So, yeah, a lot of them don't have a choice, but I know some of them who are here, who a lot of the community already knows. There's one famous girl here on the corner, and a lot of people have spoken to her, and she likes this type of work and she doesn't see a problem with it. So we have both sides, but yeah. And I am seeing much, yeah. When I first started seeing the prostitutions, it was only Asian. It was like older Asian women. But now it's like I see less Asian and more younger Latina girls, and I feel like they are more at risk, especially the younger ones. It's easier to convince them and they're more naive, and yeah.
So in the 1990s, we got reports, people were telling me in the 1990s, some of the brothels were inside the basement of churches.
Oh.
And I'm sure Hiram can talk when he comes on. He'll be able to explain that. I'm sure he knows about that. And there was another thing. So, there's a lot of drug activity going on and stuff. Do you believe that these women are being manipulated and they're being controlled by drug use, that they're being
Yes.
given drugs? Because they have to. I mean, but I'll let you answer the question.
Yes, definitely. There's also a community activist from 103rd Street. She speaks out a lot. She actually called the police multiple times. There was an incident to where there was a prostitute and she was clearly like drugged out, like she basically on the floor falling. And this community activist went up to the guys who were in charge of that brothels and said, that girl is not okay. If you don't pick her up now, I'm going to call 911. They obviously were scared about that. And they were like, no, she's fine, nothing's wrong with her, but she was visibly not okay. She ended up calling the police. I'm not sure what happened with that situation, but for sure, definitely a lot of these girls are falling into drug. And that's what I always say, like all these brothels and prostitution, that comes with crime, that comes with drugs.
So we're trying to get to the facts of the situation. That's why I'm asking these questions, because there's a lot of stuff that's being put out there, but let's get to the facts. So the NYPD has said that because of a law that was passed by, that was sponsored by Catalina Cruz, Jessica Rojas, and Jessica Ramos. Jack, can we pull that bill up? I sent it to you. And I believe Ramses actually spoke about this. Mr. Ramses spoke about this, I believe, a week ago. So this bill basically was written to allow women who choose to do prostitution or who choose to engage in sex work to be allowed to stand on street corners, right, and solicit. And the police cannot, arrest them. The police have to let them stand there. What I think the mistake was when they drafted this, when this legislation was created, is that they did not realize women who are trafficked
Yeah.
would be used. And I think there needs to be a provision to, in that bill that would allow the police to identify trafficked people. But I'm gonna let you say a few words on that.
Yeah, I know Catalina Cruz and Jessica Rojas, Jessica Ramos definitely agree with this bill. There's a lot of past tweets and Instagram writing from them saying that sex work is work, but I really don't think they realize that a lot of these women don't choose to be in this type of work. This past summer, they also supported the slut walk. And, now that she's running for mayor, she's changing things around. And I don't think these women have understood the impact of their words, especially them being Latina women and from the community like they say they are, but they don't walk under Roosevelt. They don't walk under the 7 line to realize the damage that has been caused. And a lot of women probably have suffered so much and their lives have been at risk because of this. Oh wait, you're mute.
Yeah, we're trying to find that. Jack, do you have it? Were you able to pull it up? It's the bill. I want everyone to see this bill. So we're gonna look for it. And is Mr. Ramses on this call? I was hoping he would be because okay, so he can talk about it because I want to see if we can just quickly pull this up. I pulled it up the other day and I saw it and I sent it to my team members. And for some reason, it got lost at Jack's computer. Jack doesn't have it. And I can't find it either. Oh boy. Okay.
They should have came up with a bill. Because I also
I
don't
think I sent it to you on Instagram, Marcy.
I'll check.
Yeah.
I also don't think these women should be arrested because at the end of the day, that's not gonna help them. There should just be more resources for them.
No, we know that. We support that, obviously, but the police are not allowed to even interact with them because of that bill.
Mhm.
So that's the problem. Jack, were you able to pull it up? So no, that's the handbook.
Yeah, that's not the.
Yeah. So actually, let's stay here. Since you pulled this up, let's go to this. So we're going to get to that legislation in a few minutes. So this is the handbook that I found. So I want to discuss some facts. Did you guys know that Jessica Gonzalez Rojas is the chairwoman for human trafficking for the New York State Assembly? Did everyone know this? Did you know this?
I just found out recently.
Because I told you, remember?
Yeah.
So how do you feel about that? And there's actually a book. So one of the things that we want to do in this fact-finding mission, and I spoke to Hiram about this, and Hiram's agreed to get us a place. And actually, we're going to put together a human trafficking forum. And I think immediately all the nonprofits need to be there. All the nonprofits. Everybody needs to be trained on human trafficking and how do we report people? How do we get them services? One of the things that I was outraged about this book when I saw it, it hasn't been updated since 2021. And I want to ask you, were there any events in the community, Marcy, on human trafficking by any of the elected officials? Because we did a background search and we couldn't find any.
No, not that I know of. I'm surprised that she's the one even in charge of that. So you would think that she would be speaking more on this topic.
Right, but in Jessica Gonzalez's defense, I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. She doesn't represent the whole area; she represents a portion of it.
Yeah.
But her visibility has an impact throughout the whole community, right? Now, the situation with Make the Road. So the reason why I showed you all the Make the Road video is because I think there's a lack of communication at the nonprofits. When you call them, they don't know what services they offer. Everything is all convoluted all over the place.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we want to do is we want to have this forum. All the nonprofits have to come in. Anyone who's involved in any leadership thing should be there. And there should be a comprehensive training. And I want Jessica Rojas to be there. I want all the electeds to be there. And there just has to be a coordinated organizing with the NYPD, because right now that's not happening. It's not happening. And it's, I know we don't want to get angry on this call, but so many strategic mistakes have been made that didn't need to happen. I mean, you basically have the dream team in Jackson Heights. They just got to get it together, get everyone together and organize. Am I right?
That the biggest issue here is all of this could have been avoided if everyone just worked together. It's that simple, but I know they don't want to work together because of their differences. When we had that protest 2 years ago, Precinct 115 was actually supposed to be the one in charge because that's technically their district, but they didn't want anything to do with it. So I had to go to Precinct 110 and they were the ones who helped out. So it's just like, I don't know. It's just weird because I also went to the meeting this week on Tuesday and I told them the same thing. Like, if you guys just work together, things would be done so much faster and things wouldn't be as difficult, but I don't know.
So let's go down. Jack, can you scroll down to the first page of the book? I just want to show people this manual. What is human trafficking? So it basically runs through that, and then go to the second page real quick so everyone can see screening protocols and questions. So this manual is basically to help women of human trafficking to basically get services and citizenship in the country. And if you scroll down towards the last 4 pages in the manual, take a look at this. This booklet is gold. I don't know why everyone did not have this manual. And one of the things that I found, I don't know if this information has been updated, but what I want to find out is, you see how these are the nonprofits that get money to deal with this situation. So you see, you have Sisters Place, Sanctuary for Families. But according to what people told me with the NYPD is that the only way that a victim of human trafficking can get assistance is when they are physically arrested or they're physically taken out of the brothel to court. And after the court process is when the court provides them with, human services and stuff like that. And so I just feel like, could we do better outreach before they get arrested, right? And I know this is very dicey, because we don't want anyone to get arrested, but this is the way things are happening right now. Am I right about this? And I'm sure Hiram will agree. He'll explain this and everyone. But Masi, how do you feel about this? Real quick.
I agree. That, like I said before, the issue is when you arrest them, it's like then what, they come right back to where they were. And that's the issue here is that they close the brothels, they arrest the women, but then within 24 hours later, it's reopened and it's the same women because, again, they don't know what options they have. So the whole system just needs to change and they need to come up with a better plan and offer these women more services and outreach.
Yeah, and then scroll down, Jack, for a second. Keep scrolling down. So if you noticed in that booklet, Queens did not have an office in Queens. And so I've been told that Make the Road is the designated organization. We're still trying to find that out. But there shouldn't be one. There should be 5 or 6 organizations there. And really, what we want to do at Passengers United now is we want to have this human trafficking thing, get all the experts there, do a top to bottom training, and we're even going to incorporate this into our volunteer training. So these are the New York State referral forms on human trafficking. So This is it. And then scroll down, Jack, to the next page. I just want to show them. Here you go. Notice of confirmation as a human trafficking victim in New York State. So basically, what happens is, they give the victim a number and then they go through the system. And this is run by the Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance. They're the ones who actually handle this. So one of the questions I have for Jessica Gonzalez Rojas is, was this booklet updated? Who are the providers that are supposed to be providing service? And why is it that nobody has seen them on Roosevelt? This is a humanitarian crisis. So let's scroll down. And again, to all of you watching on the call, many of the people on this call either work for nonprofits, they work for elected officials' offices. And so you see, this is the letter. And there's so this packet basically shows when the victim is taken into custody, what the process is. And they even show you the immigration process on how to help them get citizenship. So any woman that's been exploited, and been through so much, this basically helps them with everything. So I think by us getting all this training, I think this is going to make everyone so much better at this. Now, one of the questions I have for you and the pointers, Marcy, is that what's his name? Chief Kaz Doherty from the NYPD at the press conference last week. He said that every time they keep raiding these brothels, they keep reopening up, and the relatives are able to change the names on the leases. So that's another thing. Why are we not looking at the landlords and the people that own these properties? Someone is making a lot of money off of this. And so I think Chief Kaz Doherty said that they're trying to change that law with the district attorney. So again, it goes back to the electeds. They have to be able to change the law. So in addition to the human trafficking summit that we're going to put together, I also think that we need to have, community cleanups and events like that. But, community residents need to protest outside elected officials' offices, all of them.
I always say if there was just like 20 more of me, like people because a lot of people just like to complain and not really do the community work, things would be changed so fast. Like people don't understand the voices that they have is so strong. And at the end of the day, we need to tell these politics what to do because it's true. Like if no one's complaining directly to them, they're gonna think everything's great in the community. It's like, oh, well, no one's complaining, things are great, So that's why.
I want to touch on that because when you were at the community council meeting last week, you told me that the reps from the elected officials' offices were there. What did they say to you?
So I went to the 115 precinct community meeting, and it was a great turnout. A lot of people went, and there was a representative from Catalina Cruz's office, from Francisco Moyo's office, from Jessica Ramos' office. And I don't think they expected us to speak on them, but I did speak up and I said, Catalina Cruz, Jessica Ramos has been ignoring us and has never replied to any of our emails. And their representative said, we have never received complaints. They said they have max 20 something emails from the whole year of complaints. That other than that, the complaints have been only on social media. I was so shocked to hear that. I was like, that's not true. I was actually supposed to set up a meeting with Catalina Cruz, but her team was giving me all these excuses like, oh, because of the regulations of COVID-19, we can't really have like a meeting. And then that same week, Catalina Cruz went to a Halloween party. Like, it's just like, they know exactly what they're doing. And
so I spoke to Catalina. Remember, I also spoke to a chief of staff, and I think they were trying to get a meeting, but this is the other thing with elected officials, the email games. Phones, emails don't work. But I just think at this point, everyone's got to be proactive. That's what the problem. You shouldn't wait for complaints to be coming in. If you're seeing conditions on the street, which everyone is, common sense 101. Let's activate a command center. Let's get this.
That's why I do like to give a lot of credit to Francisco Moyo because He saw me on social media complaining. He reached out to me. He sent me a message like, hey, I see the comments that you're posting. Let's set up a meeting. Let's talk about it. And I was like, oh wow, this is amazing. And he's been proactive ever since. And like his staff, I'm always able to contact them no matter what. I can give them a call and they're on it. Even things that aren't part of his district, I have complained about, and he gets his team on it. He reaches out
But
to the precinct.
I want to play devil's advocate here. And one of the things I want to ask you, do you think that and I'm just throwing this out here, because some people have said there's corruption going on at the NYPD, that the police haven't done anything about this. But people have also said to me, they feel like the elected officials are purposely ignoring this so that the neighborhood there, all the small businesses will be forced to leave because property values, I'm sure property values there have dropped, correct?
Yeah.
So what they're doing is letting the property values drop. And then once all the people move out, then all of a sudden they'll clean up the area and bring in wealthy people to transform the area. Do you think that's what's going on?
I see a little change. Like on 82nd Street especially, I see like the stores that are coming up now. Like they just opened up a Sephora, and I do see the gentrification happening there. I mean, that's been happening for a while, but I do see it more. Even in my area, I was very shocked. I have two new neighbors that moved in, and they're not Latino, and I was like, very surprised by that. I do see like slowly a change happening, and I feel like that's what some of them want. They want it to look like 34th Avenue, I guess. But yeah, I don't know.
So why don't we bring in now? I've been very hard on Hiram, but I want to play devil's advocate here because
so has Massey, by the way.
Yeah. So Hiram, before I get to you, real quick, Marcy, you told me that you met with Councilman Moya, right?
Yeah.
And Councilman Moya, all the electeds have been in office for at least 3 to 4 years, right?
Yeah.
Everyone. Now, we've all been hard on Hiram. Everyone's been on Facebook, including me. But one thing Hiram did do, which we should give him credit for, he wrote a letter to the governor requesting National Guard. Now, the National Guard that a
State troopers. State troopers.
Yeah. So state troopers, I'm sorry. But I also think the National Guard should be brought in as well to help the police out, but that's a whole other issue because National Guard can provide health relief, health services, and that sort of thing, and help the EMS and the first responders. But what I want to say is with ICE Customs and Enforcement, the federal agency, do the state troopers, because this came up on a police show yesterday, do the state troopers have the authority to cooperate with ICE? And I was told that because New York City is a sanctuary state, they don't. So if they know certain human trafficking elements or criminals, they cannot report them to the federal authorities. That actually, I was told by, and I saw it on a show yesterday with the two NYPD lieutenants who have a talk show. That is concerning to me. So why don't we go to Hiram? Because Hiram did write the letter to the governor, right? We got to give credit where credit is due. And so here's the Honorable Hiram Monserrat. He's a district leader. Hiram, thank you so much for coming on here today. We really appreciate you. I'm going to ask you a line of questions. So you can answer them. So Hiram, were you given the full support by the elected officials in the very beginning, about 2 years ago, 3 years ago? I mean, because people want to know, why is it all of a sudden now that you wrote the letter and everything? But I'm going to let you answer that. So Hiram, go ahead.
Yeah. First of all, good afternoon to everyone. Happy to be here. I appreciate the work that everyone has done to ensure that our community gets safer, including Masi and Ramses and others. I even give credit to our local councilman, Moya, who's been the only elected official who has spoken about these issues. Obviously, I think he could have done a lot more, and I would like to see more. But nonetheless, I have to give credit where credit is due. And I participated in the march that Massiel put together last year, not knowing that she was one of the organizers. I didn't even know who was organizing. I found out about it because I went to that same town hall at Corona Plaza, where basically nothing was answered, nothing was resolved, and the problem got worse. So I want to say this. After that march, the brothels and the street crime grew exponentially. Not a little bit, a lot, and blatant, and 24 hours a day. And I used to represent this community as a councilman and senator. I'm currently a district leader in a little piece of Corona, mostly East Elmhurst. But I have to tell you, it has never been that bad. So when people say, oh, Roosevelt Avenue has had its problems, yeah, it's had its problems. Never like this. I was a cop, a police officer in the 90s, and I walked on Roosevelt Avenue. It was not like this. Everything that was happening underground was actually underground. You could not see it. It's happening behind closed doors. But now it's just the blatantness and the lawlessness. And that's what we're confronting. So I want to say this. Mr. Ramon Ramirez Baez, who is a writer and an engineer, he's sitting here with me. And we decided to do this together because Mr. Ramon Ramirez came to me 2 months ago and said, Hiram, I just got back from the Dominican Republic. I was away for a little while taking care of some personal matters with my family, but I'm back and I can't believe what I see. And I said to him, it's gotten horrible. And he said to me, let's do something. I have an idea for an organization. It's called Let's Improve Roosevelt Avenue. It was his idea, totally his idea. And I said, okay, great. I will help you. And the both of us just started working together, meeting with community people, residents, merchants. We met with Ramses, we met with Zamora, we met with all the people who were concerned about this issue and said, listen, everyone needs to put their political differences to the sides. In our coalition, there are Republicans, there are Democrats, there are people that have supported me in the past and people who have been against me. Doesn't matter. We need to put all that to the side and just work on trying to make this community better and cleaner. So I want to give credit to him because he was the person who had the idea of the organization, and we worked collaboratively. You know, we started doing rallies. I put a few pictures up. We had a rally on September 29th. It got rained out, but still about 100 people showed up in the rain. Then we did it a week later. We had almost 300 people there. It was widely covered by the media. We did a press conference in front of the brothel across the street from PS 19. And at that rally, you know, we called on the city to shut down the brothel. We contacted the commissioner for the borough of Queens, of the buildings department, because of the building violations. We actually went inside that brothel, taped what was happening. We had literally had another undercover operation, community-based, not PD. We did it. We've done a couple others. We're going to be releasing them soon because we want to show the world what's really happening. People want to try to deny what's happened. Our elected officials largely have abandoned this community and have allowed Roosevelt Avenue to become a crime zone. And that's what we have. We got drug dealing. Wait a minute, I just want to finish 2 points. We got drug dealers, we got prostitution, we got human trafficking, and there's a difference, right? Even though they're interrelated. Some of the workers are doing it because they choose to. Some have been forced to, and they're in bondage, and they need to be liberated. And I'm shocked that our local elected officials have not paid more attention to that issue, which is very real. The vendors, come on. We got hundreds and hundreds of unlicensed vendors. We never had that in this community. That can't be tolerated. Just the sheer tons of garbage that are being generated in our streets with people cooking food with no license, violating every single administrative code, and no one says anything. So we become a lawless community. And that's not what the community is. The residents that live here, that have been here for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, like myself, like Ramon, like Masi, we know this neighborhood. It was not like this. So we just collectively got together. We did that. We're going to continue to have rallies and marches. We'll work with everyone on this panel. We have no problem. Everyone's welcome. Charlton, I spoke to you yesterday about the forum. We're going to hold the forum on November the 30th. It's already set. The location is set. We're willing to bring everyone in who wants to be a part of it and is going to come here to have a constructive dialogue. And it's how do we resolve this? How do we come together as a community? You know, I would love to have Passengers United, Massiel's group, and any other group who wants to work and be part of the forum. You're going to be all welcome. And we're going to continue to do more because, look, the mayor announced this program where there's roughly a little over 200 police officers and state troopers and the district attorney's office. But listen, I've been around the block once or twice, and I know that the minute the pressure goes down, they'll be gone. And so we need to be consistent in ensuring that all our electeds, all our clergy, all our community activists work together to make this better. And I'm open to any question you have. If there's anything I can clarify, I'll be here for
Sure.
that.
So Hiram, so we're definitely going to be at the Human Trafficking Summit. I think Hiram, Marcy, Mr. Ramses, and me, I think we should have a bigger role in putting that helping you guys organize that, because there's some things that need to be covered and need to be done concretely, so that, the manual that I mentioned, so it shouldn't just be an event where we all show up, get some things and leave. I want it to be like a few hours, like where we get a training and we have NYPD there.
Yep.
We should have MTPD there, New York State Police. I even want to have the FBI there, have everyone in that room. And even all the nonprofits have to be in there. Every nonprofit director should be in there and their training person, because we want to go through this manual. Now, there's some questions I have for you, and I've been very hard on you, Hiram. I told you what happened to Marcy and her daughter and how, they were harassed at night. At 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, people were banging on her doors. I feel like the community neglected Massiel Lugo and all that she did, and even Ramses at some point. In the beginning, nobody wanted to acknowledge what they were doing in the beginning. They were ignored. They were left.
Well,
and
let me address that immediately. So I actually went to the march. I have a picture that I posted up there. And I was, I marched till about 95th Street, 96th Street. I had to go back because I had someone who had accompanied me who had a physical issue, and I went back to the post office to pick them up. But let me say this. First of all, I want to thank Masi for being active in our community. We need more of you, right? We need like 1,000 more, not 10. And we need more Ramon Ramirez's. We need more Charltons. And so, we can be critical of each other at different times for different reasons. But at the end of the day, this is a village, and we need to come together and make everything better for the majority of the people here. I just found out yesterday that you were approached in that way, Massiel, and I'm incredibly sorry that happened to you. But I could see it, and I want to say this also for all the activists and the people, and for our politicians who are denying the facts that are in front of them. The people operating on Roosevelt Avenue who are running this are hardened street criminals. They are members of the cartels. They are members of Tren de Aragua. They are members of the 18th Street Gang, which is from LA. We have gangs and criminal organizations running game. They're running game. They're running women. They're running drugs. They're running street operations, shoplifting syndicates. So these are not choir boys, right? Even myself and Mr. Ramirez on 90th Street, we have been videotaped, and they took pictures of us, not once, twice, at least 7 different occasions while we toured. Then we turned around and started videoing them because they have people watching, they have spotters, and so this is really happening. And we're a little bit more bolder than the average bear, but it can be a little scary. But the bottom line is, if the good people in the community don't say anything, then we're all sunk. And so I wanted to just put that out there.
Yeah, no, we get that. So Hiram, I have a question for you. So when the crisis exploded, you went to the elected officials. I believe you told me you contacted them, you outreached them. Did they contact you back?
I'm gonna say, and I'm not at liberty to discuss. Maybe one day I will. I have to think about it. I had a long discussion with one of our elected officials during the summer, basically supportive of sex workers, supportive of survival work was the term that was used to me, survival work. And that's outrageous. We want to help these women. Let's get them off the street. Let's get them counseling. Let's get them housing. Let's get them services. Let's give them training. Let's give them education courses. That's how we help people. We don't encourage people to become prostitutes. We should not be encouraging that as a society. And clearly in this neighborhood, people talking about legalizing prostitution. Can you imagine what Roosevelt Avenue would be if they legalized prostitution? Because right now it's illegal, and there's hundreds and hundreds of things happening. So if they legalized it, this problem will be exponential. The
We would have
recent
to move.
the recent legislation regarding massage parlors. I mean, hey, listen, everything helps, but the criminal gangs are not trying to get an application or a license for anything. They're running illegal operations. Listen, for those of you who don't remember, in June of this year or late May, 2 of our police officers on 23rd Avenue in East Elmhurst were shot by someone who lived in one of the homeless shelters. That person was a part of the gangs that are operating on Roosevelt Avenue. He shot 2 cops. They arrested him and they got him. That happened. By the way, I didn't see any elected officials going to the scene of the shooting to support our police officers, which, by the way, for all the criticism that our cops get, some of it warranted, some of it not. We need them. We need them to keep us safe, and we need them to step up their game.
So, Marcy said she reached out to all the elected. She never got a response. But moving forward, I think we're going to have to put a lot of pressure on all the electeds. There needs to be a unified command center. Like you see how NYPD has the mobile truck parked outside? Maybe they need to get a van with one of the nonprofits and park it on Roosevelt, And just so you guys know, Passengers United was also on the streets. We were out with Russell, Russell, Marcy, and Hiram, and we actually walked down Roosevelt. We were actually attacked. Rebecca was attacked. She was put in a chokehold. And what happened was there was a police officer standing down the street, and I screamed, "Police, police." And they never came. And so we literally had to run out of there. That was scary. But there's also, so the police, the program that they have now only goes to 74th Street. On 69th Street, over there's a new street prostitution setting up. And that is the issue now. It's by the train tracks over there, and they're literally out in the street. I was out there the other day. They had barely no clothes on, stopping cars in the middle of the street. And they call that the trans area, where all the transsexuals go. And that is a crisis. And so many of these people are having unprotected intercourse. And what is the health impact to the neighborhood? Because if COVID-19 hits again in Jackson Heights, imagine the devastation, because people's immune systems are compromised. People could be engaging, and then they go home to their wives, and then their wives get HIV or AIDS. I mean, am I making sense here? So this is Marcy, do you want to touch on that?
I've always said, like, when I first started speaking, I'm like, there's gonna be a whole pandemic of like STDs, HIV, and all of that here. A lot of these men have wives. A lot of these men have families that they go to. A lot of them live in the community, so I personally know that they have families. Sorry, what was the other question?
And then the other question is, are young people, remember that sign that your daughter was holding
Yeah.
that said prostitutes should not be a role model?
Yeah.
What is happening to our young people? This is why I'm upset with the electeds. I know all these electeds. We've all volunteered for them. We're friends with them.
Me and
And
my daughter went to a concert very recently, 2 months ago. It was in City Fields, and the concert theme was like we had to wear skirts and a cute outfit. And my daughter has come to a point where that's all she thinks about. As we were walking to the train station on 90th, she was like, "Oh, this feels uncomfortable." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I was so excited. She's like, "Yeah, we're wearing skirts just like the prostitutes." I'm like, "Baby, you don't have to think about that right now. Like, we're gonna go do something fun. Let's enjoy the moment." She's like, "Yeah, but guys are gonna think we're prostitutes." Like, that's all she thinks about now. And I'm like, "This is crazy. I didn't grow up like that here. It's crazy." I'm like, how is it that I had a better childhood and like, I didn't grow up rich or anything, clearly because I lived here my whole life. And it's just like, how is my kids growing up in a more negative environment than I was? And back then there was like drugs and things like that, but again, it wasn't how it was today. It's so sad.
so do you think the men, I think we also, when we do this human trafficking summit, we need to bring the young men in and we need to talk to the young men. So one of the things, Hiram, that we need, we're going to create a brochure. Remember, I spoke to you about this on the phone, and I spoke to Marcy about this as well. And I think I spoke to Ramses about this. One of the things that the exploited women told me, the ones on 69th, is that they were doing it because they didn't have groceries. And so I was able to refer them to Nulla on 34th Ave, and they went there. But what needs to happen is there should be a printed card that has all the nonprofits, like a small business card, like the size of this or something, that has all the nonprofits areas you can go. It should be like a card where if you present the card, you don't need to show any ID or anything. You no questions asked. You're just given whatever you need, and that's it. And I think
I just gotta say this, Charlie. I respect that, and we should do that. There are countless food pantries and soup kitchens in our community. Richard Pacheco is at one. The Salvation Army one's one on 35th Avenue. St. Mark's on Northern. There are so many food pantries. So I really have to defer on that issue that someone's doing this for groceries. I think they're doing it, one, for the money, or two, because they're being forced to. And I think that's really what we are confronting. This concept of survival work should never be accepted. There's
no,
too
I
many,
agree with you.
yeah,
But this is
there's
what
too
the
many.
lady said to me,
Yeah, no, I believe that. I
and she was
believe
an
that
older lady.
yeah, she probably was not being honest. That's how I feel, right? Because everyone in Corona, Jackson Heights, East Elmhurst, Woodside knows where they're giving out food. I mean, there's lines almost every other day. First Baptist here on Astoria Boulevard. There's
But
probably
I
25.
understand what you're saying. But
Yeah,
a newly arrived immigrant might not know that, right? We know that because we interact with these people every day. So I think there should, I just think that, and it should be there so that they know where to go. It's something that we're going to work on. And I've already spoken to people about it. It's something that we should have. Nobody wants survival work. It shouldn't be happening. It's nobody should even be on the street. But what I'm saying is proactive efforts is what's going to help reduce that by having, and that's how you start to thin it down, and that's how you start to work at the problem. You got to work at it from all angles. You got to look at what people are going through and look at other people's shoes, and see what they're happening. So I think by all the ideas coming together, and I think that's why we need to invite every nonprofit food pantry in the community, invite all of them, because you'd be surprised. People have different ideas on different things. And that's one thing I've learned as an advocate, listen to the people. And I actually have some friends here who I've had conversations with people who work with the United Nations on this issue. They actually wanted us to come to the UN and have a human trafficking summit there. So I'm trying to get like different people involved. And the reason why Passengers United got involved in this, everyone's probably wondering. You guys cover transportation because the men and many of the exploited women take the 7 train, right? So when they get off that 7 train, the 7 train fuels the human trafficking on Roosevelt because you could be anywhere in the city. You just hop on the 7 train and within 15, 20 minutes, boom, you're there. And so that needs to be talked about. But Hiram, we definitely want to support you in this. And like I said, we're willing to come to your office,
Sure.
organize
Anytime.
anything we need to. All you have to do is get us the place, and we can be a sponsor of that, Passengers United, and we'll get all the other nonprofits. And I actually have Cass Doherty's information. I met him at the NYPD, so I can reach out to him. And the thing with the police commissioner, a lot of people are asking what happens if the police commissioner leaves and if Eric Adams leaves, because the administration right now is in turmoil, and many people thought that was a publicity stunt by Eric Adams to be there. So,
Okay,
I mean, we don't want to get political, but you understand what I'm saying. This is how the community feels.
Sure. Well, some people have that opinion, and they're entitled to that. Look, I know the mayor personally. I'm not happy. I think that the mayor, who's my friend, could have done a lot better job. Period. So it's not just the councilman. The councilman represents one district. The mayor also knew what was happening here. In fact, the mayor and our councilman in January came to the community in Roosevelt. They closed 12 brothels down. They walked away, and then the problem got worse.
Yeah.
So, to me, I'm not about photo ops. And if the mayor and anyone else who was involved in this operation thinks that myself, Ramon, and the people on this call are going to let them get away with a photo op, I'll do the protest at City Hall next. I mean, we need to push to save this community. And I'm very dedicated to this, irrespective of anyone's political affiliation. If we don't do this now, it's going to get worse. And we need to also educate people as to what our elected officials are doing. Do you know, in our forums, talking to about 800 people before the rally, no one even knew that our elected officials were sponsoring legislation to legalize prostitution. The people didn't even know that, right? So people are in the dark about what they're doing. This law, this solicitation law, which you just spoke about, which basically took the power away from the police to even stop these people who are suspected of engaging in prostitution, which was was an end run to weaken prostitution laws, right? And so we're confronting a lot of things simultaneously. And I think
Jack has it on Messenger. I sent it to Marcy. Were you able to find it? It's on your Instagram, Marcy, the bill. If you pull it up from the chat, it's
No,
I sent it to you the other day. You didn't see it? Damn, I really wish we could pull that. But we had a question. Do we have the list of politicians? We're gonna get that out there and we'll put that there. Our goal right now is to solve the problem, get the resources we need, get attention to the issue, and get everyone together. And one thing, you don't have to like me, I don't have to like you. Same thing with the electeds. A lot of elected officials don't like me, but you know what? We all have to work together, because at the end of the day, if we don't work together and we don't help solve this, it's going to be bad. Am I right, Hiram? Am I right, Marcy?
It's actually going to get worse, because if you allow it, the more people who come here, look, Roosevelt Avenue already has an attraction because you have the 7 train. It's a largely immigrant, Spanish, South Asian community. So they're already coming here. And by the way, something I found out about the street vendors is a dirty little secret. The majority of the street vendors don't live in this community. They come from other communities to come here to do it, right? So we're not even really being supportive of community residents, even in that respect. So there's a lot of false narratives out there that we need to debunk. I'm going to put my email here. If anyone wants to email me, it's an email that I've had for over 20 years. That's my email. You feel free to contact me. But Mr. Ramirez, who is the founder of Let's Improve Roosevelt Avenue, wants to say something. And I think.
Oh, yeah, sure. Of course. Please do.
Okay.
Nice to meet you, sir.
Okay. My name is Ramon Ramirez, young rider, Dominican rider. When I listen Massiel, I was so worried because in my family, it's only lady, I only man in my family. Massiel, you have a total support from me personally, your family. Don't be afraid, contact to us because I understand you. Because like I said, when you're very strong lady, very strong. We support you. Continue. Now, in personal, I see, like I said, I have a light on fanatic toner. when the people like that, lady too young, lady, involved, you had to listen you. Community had to listen you. This is most important right now, to listen you, because you come to be boss our community. Thank you, Michelle, for being strong. We support it to you in any case, in any time, in any pay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So like I said, we work with everyone. We really want to get the problem solved. I think that's why we're all frustrated, because it's taken over 25. Somebody told me this has even been going on since the 1970s. I don't know if that's true, but
Yeah. I listen, like I tell you, there was things happening here in the 90s, but nothing like this. And even then, I want to say something. When Giuliani became the mayor, he cleaned up Roosevelt Avenue. You know, and I know a lot of people don't like Giuliani. He has a
He
very
did.
checkered past, but he cleaned it. I
Yeah.
know, I was here. You know, he cleaned it, and it changed overnight. And we're hoping that Mayor Eric Adams does the same thing here. Now, there's just one more point that I wanted to say, Charlton. Believe me, I know I've said a lot today, but I want to get the information out. The issue of the state troopers for us was incredibly important. Why? Because our state representatives were saying that this is not a state issue, trying to basically distance themselves from or abdicating responsibility. Every one of our elected officials, city, state, and federal government, play a role, and they're all responsible to keep us safe and keep our community good. And so when we said, hey, we need state troopers, and then the governor sent it, clearly we understood that Roosevelt Avenue is in the state of New York. So for anyone to say that it's not a state responsibility is ludicrous. The state has a role, the feds have a role, the city has a role, and most definitely the community has a role.
yeah. And one thing I wanted to ask you, Hiram, the commander of the 115th precinct, the 110 precinct, I know you can't speak for the NYPD, but do you feel like they're frustrated? Because I know the other commanding officer, he left,
Clearly,
he got a job in another state because he was
they
fed
are.
up.
Yeah, I know. The Commander Altieri. Listen, the bottom line is both precincts, 110 and 115, they have about a third less police officers than they did 3 years ago. Do you know
Wow.
why? Because the city council voted to defund $1 billion from the NYPD budget. That was real because everyone was angry at the cops, and I understand it and I get it for what happened in Ferguson in another state. Somehow that turned into cutting $1 billion out of the NYPD, and now both precincts have over 120 less cops between the both of them. Then one has 50 less, the other one has 70 less. Those are real numbers because you got 100 someone less cops in the local area of community, Corona, Jackson Heights, Elmhurst. That you're not going to have the same amount of coverage, and so that was also an impact.
What
Secondly,
about a community patrol? Like, I know the Guardian Angels has come and helped. Has the NYPD been open to that, having a community patrol with
I
radios
don't
and
know. I can't speak to the NYPD. I know that Curtis Sliwa heads up the Guardian Angels. I would welcome seeing 100 more Guardian Angels on Roosevelt Avenue. Let them come. The bottom line is the more people that we bring into this with the awareness and the understanding that safety and quality of life, we deserve it, just like every other community. It shouldn't
right?
be,
Because
yeah.
the NYPD has an auxiliary police program, but the auxiliary are only used to help out at parades, events. I think maybe the NYPD should use the auxiliary to do neighborhood patrols,
I think
at night or whatever.
they do. The auxiliary police does do evening patrols, and they are involved. But also the department and the city is careful, right? Because they don't want to put them in harm's way.
Oh,
They're
yeah,
not
that's right.
armed, right? They don't have weapons, and so they're not police officers, and so there's a concern about their safety. Nonetheless, the other point I wanted to make was bail reform. The bail reform didn't help us either. These guys doing robberies on the mopeds, or the people who are stealing from our local bodegas and Rite Aids 20, 30 times a month, if they get arrested, are going to the court, and the court is just letting them out. There's no repercussions. So there's no penalty for engaging in the behavior. And so, now is the time for a reset where
So,
our
Hiram,
state
hold on.
electeds can correct this.
A question came in. This is a good point. The bill that Councilman Moya introduced, and I know, Marcy, you spoke. We actually have the video of you speaking at that. We're going to get to that in a second. That bill, they had it in San Francisco. There were some issues with that in San Francisco. Marcy, Hiram, I just want your take on that. Do you think that that would work?
Okay, so first of all, to be a masseuse, right, in the state of New York, you have to have a license from the state. So there's already a licensing scheme in place for the state. You have to get your masseuse license. Licensing the massage parlors is a good idea, but it's not going to get us to where we need to be. Why? Because the criminal element that is running prostitution rings is some of them might obtain the license and they're going to still engage in prostitution. Then there's the other, the cartels and everyone else who's running the sex trafficking. They're not concerned about licensing. Listen, as much as difficult as it might seem for some people to understand, there is a very real law enforcement component to this. We cannot do it without law enforcement taking this issue seriously and acting on it. One. Two, the other concept now is, we don't want to arrest the sex workers. But if you don't arrest them, what are they going to do in the next 2 hours? They're going to go right back to the street. And then and this is an incredibly important point that I really want everyone to understand because it's compassionate. If you don't arrest them and debrief them, how are you going to find out if they're victims of sex trafficking? In other words, if you let the woman go or the man, whatever the case might be, and there's no debriefing, we don't bring them in and say, okay, you're under arrest, but did someone force you to do this? And then if they were forced and they're a victim, then you can void the arrest. In the state of New York, the police and the district attorney have the authority to void the arrest once they ascertain if the person, in fact, was a victim. And when we ascertain that they were a victim, then we get them help. We get them off the street. We get them to protective housing where they're protected. We give them resources. We give them counseling. We give them training. That's if we really care about the women. If you don't care about the women, you'll say, oh, let them work. It's survival work. It doesn't matter. Leave them alone. That's not caring. That's condemning them to a life of slavery.
Right, but to play devil's advocate, there are some women who, in the high-end brothels in Manhattan or whatever, they work with high clientele or whatever. But there are some people who choose to do that. But obviously, and with all this legislation that was passed, I was told many of those people in the higher end spectrum were the ones who were talking to the elected officials, to other nonprofits when they were doing the legislation. I think what also needs to happen is all of us are going to have to go to Albany in the next legislative session to talk to the elected officials about how this impacts, but also funding. Unfortunately, because all the nonprofits need funding. I know Christopher's like, oh God, here we go. But there are good nonprofits and there are bad nonprofits. And the bad nonprofits and the bad actors should not be getting funding if they're not showing what they're doing and how they're doing it. So we have a lot of questions. I know all of you are really excited. Hiram, there was one thing that I wanted to say, and that is, so you said that there was like short staffing in the NYPD and everything. And one thing I've noticed, for the last 6 weeks or 4 weeks with the Central Park robberies, the NYPD keep switching manpower every other night. Like for transit, we have a lot of transit crime, right? And on some days, there's only like 7 or 8 police officers covering an entire sector, like District 20. From District 20, transit police runs
That's
from.
right.
So, I mean, what happens if they start pulling police back because of crime surges? It might happen. The consistency and the numbers might go down in this 90-day period. Are you concerned about that? from day
Thomas,
to day, depending on the officers available?
we had a man in America called Thomas Jefferson, and he said that the price for liberty is eternal vigilance. The minute we let our guard down on public safety, the calamity could happen at any time. We got hit with a migrant wave, and clearly the majority of the migrants are not bad people.
They're not.
They're looking for a better future for themselves and their family, just like my parents did, just like Ramon did, and so many others, right? So Hiram Monserrat is never going to be against the migrants. What I am against is the fact that a small percentage of them are engaging in criminal activity. But if you have 200,000 people that came to New York and 10% were bad people, that's 20,000 new negative entities entering our city. With that 20,000 or 10,000 that came, they had crime organizations from their countries that they're bringing here. They organized crime. They got gangs. They got leaders. They got captains. They got lieutenants. They got soldiers, and they're recruiting. Just today or yesterday, it was announced that the Venezuelan gang, Tren de Agua, is calling out the Latin Kings and basically starting a gang feud in our city. Can you imagine this? That this is all coming back, right? So if you don't have enough police resources to deal with that, right? Because look, social workers don't work with guys carrying guns doing really bad things. It doesn't work, right? You need to deal with that from a law enforcement perspective, and then hopefully you can rehabilitate them within the system. There's a role for the nonprofits. There is a role for social work. There is a role for social programs to help people who need it. But we can't do any of that if everyone's in danger. And so that's why immediately when they did the defund the police here in New York, I said, these guys don't know what they're doing. This is creating havoc. That havoc we're dealing with today to some degree, because we don't have enough cops to deal with the crisis. So now what happens in Roosevelt Avenue, they're bringing cops from all over the city and the state troopers and the district attorney's office to fix Roosevelt Avenue. Why?
There is a concern I
It should
have,
never have
though,
gotten this way.
Hiram. I have a concern. I'm sorry. So these cops are coming from other precincts, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Are they sensitive to the needs of the community? Did the commanders go through like a little training?
Listen,
with them,
all the police officers get academy training, and they get training every year, 2 or 3 times a year, while they're serving. I don't really think that the issue here is the issue of sensitivity.
Like I mean, like a brief intro of the neighborhood, because
I'm sure. Listen, I'm sure they're giving a debriefing before they get here, and they're explained why they're here and what their mission is here, right? And so, unfortunately, and it saddens me, we got to a place that we need this kind of operation. Can you imagine? This is our community.
I know.
We live here. We take the train, take the 7 train, and we have to have this operation. People call me, oh, Hiram, this looks like a military invasion.
Yeah, and so that's what didn't make. One thing, if the police are going to do these raids, why are they standing for 1 hour, 2 hours on the corner? What they should have done was gone to the park, far away in Flushing Meadows, Corona Park, organized there, and then they tell the units, okay, you hit this brothel, you go to this, or you go to this location, and all of a sudden you just have a surge. They just come in and they go right to the locations, because you know what that signal indicated? Because I was out on Roosevelt Sunday night before the mayor came, and it started getting quieter. All the human traffickers knew, oh shit, we better get out of here. The cops are coming. They knew already. So
listen, Charlton, you're not going to hide it. I was there in the morning when they first got there on Glen Street in Roosevelt, myself and Mr. Ramirez. We were there at about 10 in the morning speaking to Deputy Commissioner Daughtry about the operation and what they were doing and so forth. Look, it's a catch-22. If they're not here, the crime's going to go back up. And that's a reality. So we need them. And hopefully now all those in government in the city of New York will understand that they have to pay closer attention to what's happening in our community, and the fact that, We can't do it without the cops, just like we can't do it without the school teachers, and we can't do it without the paramedics, and we can't do it without the social workers. We need all the different components working together to make it better for everyone. But if you take one of those components and you weaken it, and then we get hit with a migrant wave that brought in some negative actors, it was the perfect storm of calamity. And that's what happened. So we got caught, one, unprepared, two, with political leadership that didn't understand really what's happening.
But
It's
that's
almost,
also the mayor's fault because the mayor kicked them out of the
absolutely,
migrant
yeah,
shelters. What
absolutely,
did you
to some
expect
degree,
them
yes.
to do?
Excuse me?
When they kicked them out of the migrant shelters and gave them the 30-day
Well, listen,
notice, that was an epic disaster.
the issue of the migrant shelters is a completely different issue because there's restrictions in the law for the state of New York, which, by the way, I do not agree with, right? I don't agree that everyone could come to New York City and we have to house everyone. That's crazy. You know, that'll bankrupt our city. It's 200,000 people living in a shelter system.
No, but our issue is, what happened on Roosevelt. And so when the mayor comes and has this press conference, everybody's looking at him like, well, you didn't, on your end of the deal, y'all didn't, provide shelters for them. And so when you take away somebody's stability, someone's sense of living, this is what happened. People get desperate measures happen. You know what I'm trying to say, Hiram? I'm trying to
listen. I want to say a story, and I don't want to sound harsh. My father came to this country with $17 in his pocket. My mother came here with very little money too. They weren't prostituting. They weren't illegal vendors. They weren't doing that. They came here. They found work. Just like all the migrants who came to this community in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, everyone figured it out. And we can't excuse criminality that negatively impacts us because of need, particularly in the city. Listen, the city is generous. Housing, cell phones, healthcare, school, vouchers for childcare. The city is extremely generous and provides a lot of resources for people. So,
And unfortunately, they provide those resources to I'm a single mom and I don't get anything. I can't even get food stamps. And my rent is not stabilized or anything. I'm paying $2,000. I work 2 jobs. I'm a college student and I can't even get these benefits. And I agree, my parents both came here without knowing English, zero money. My mom was starving. She was living in a basement. They had to work their way up, work hard with no type of help. So I also agree, it's always these excuses. In the school I work with, I work in the biggest middle school of all of New York, and we received all of these migrants and their children, and these children are coming with no educational backgrounds. People have no clue. Besides the prostitution and everything, I just started talking about what's happening aside from that a little bit. And the reason why I don't touch more base on it is because it is dangerous. But where my parents live, on 94th and 35th Avenue, there's 2 new gangs that have taken over. That's why I went to the meeting on the 115 precinct this week, and I've been mentioning them. I've been speaking to the captain, and it's been a problem. They completely took over the street. One of the guys did approach them and told them they needed to get out of there, and they were told well, this is our block now, you need to get out. Yeah, it's a problem. I'm not gonna speak too much because again, that's where my family lives, and a guy was shot there in the head 2 years ago, and I don't even visit my parents anymore over there because I don't feel comfortable at all. What they're going through is even worse what my neighborhood is going through. So it's it's gonna get it is going to a point of no return. And it's scary because I've always said this. I've called this when I started speaking out 3 years ago. I'm the vendors, the prostitution, all this is gonna bring is gangs and crime, and it is. And it's bad. People have no clue. But when I went to the meeting, I also brought in teachers. And from PS 149, teachers are starting to speak up because they parked their cars on 94th Street. And when they walk to their cars, the gang members, they hide their drugs on their people's cars. So when they go to their cars, they all run up to their cars, take whatever they are hiding, which is the bag of drugs. One of my friends also lives there. One time, a group of teachers, they carpool. They couldn't go to their car. They had to return back to the school because for some reason, when they were walking towards their car on 94th Street and 35th Avenue, the gang approached them and 10 of them surrounded their cars and they went back. And I brought them to the meeting. Now they're in touch with the captain, and thankfully now more people are speaking up. But it's getting scary. It's a bigger problem than what
So
people think.
what we're gonna do when we have this human trafficking on November 30th, I don't know what day that is. If you could look at the calendar and let me know.
That's
Uh
Saturday.
that's a Saturday. One of the things we're gonna do, I think the school principals and the coordinator of student affairs for each of the schools, especially the high schools, need to be there. So that's something we'll have to coordinate with the Department of Education, because I think there needs to be a comprehensive review. We got to get all the electeds there. I think the infighting is over. Now it's time to get the work done. Everybody's got to get together. Like I said, Passengers United is committed. We will definitely be there. We're a small nonprofit, obviously, but we care very much. You all, everyone in the community in Jackson Heights, Corona, Roosevelt, everyone's our friend. Even Woodside now is going through this. And that's another thing I had to ask you, Hiram. Is the police going to be flexible? And I have to ask Cas Doherty this, that if they start going past Woodside, will they be able during the 90-day program to put some cops there and some resources there? You're on mute.
Deputy Commissioner Daughtry or the chief of the department at any given time could, reconfigure the boundaries of the operation, make it larger, make it smaller. Clearly, I'm just happy that they're here. I'm not too happy at the pace, to be honest with you, because I was out there last night and I saw a few problem locations. Mr. Ramirez and I go out there at night. And
We'd
we
love
take
to come out
pictures.
with you again when y'all come at night.
Absolutely. We'll
Because
bring
I
you out
always
one
do it
night.
alone or with somebody and I get scared. I call Marcy the other time.
You should not do it alone. Never. Right? You should never do it alone. And you have to be cognizant, like I said, that you are dealing with criminals. One of the people that I know in the community started having an argument with one of the workers, and within seconds he got surrounded by 7 guys.
Oh shit.
7 guys right there on 90th and Roosevelt, not far, right from the same place we had the rally, right on that corner. Immediately surrounded, and those guys were going to hurt him. And he left. He called me right away. He said, hi, and these guys were going to beat me up. And I said, listen, you cannot do it that way, right? You cannot try to take the law into your own hands. These are dangerous people, and they will hurt you. So you have to be very careful. So never go out there alone. When we go out there, we're very careful. We also have some ex-law enforcement people with us, so it's a different situation. But we're going to watch this to the end.
Yeah, we have some questions.
Can I just say something? It's
sure.
honestly amazing that, finally we're getting the help that we need. The only thing I'm just like, I wish this would have happened before the summer, because it's like, well, winter's coming. It's kind of going to be easier for them to clean up. Once winter ends, and they're going to be here for 2 months, the problem is when spring and summer comes around. You know what I mean? That's when they should have really came, and hopefully things don't go back to the way it was. But my fear is like, okay, you're going to clean everything up for the winter, which is really, but then it's like, what's going to happen when spring and summer rolls around,
So we have questions. The first question that we have is, why wasn't Massiel Lugo and I understand, Hiram, there's a task force that's been meeting for the last few months. Were any of you involved in that task force?
No.
Do you know who's on the task force?
Well, all the city agencies, the councilman's office and the mayor's office. I don't know if the other elected officials are involved, but so we need to deal with the politics, because the politics are a reality. So
but you're a district leader. You're a state district leader. You should have been included in that.
I'm a district leader and former this and former that and former. I got plenty of titles, right? But the issue here bears down to politics. Some people don't want to work with some people, and some people don't agree on the political solutions, right? So you'll have someone like Councilman Moya or myself that believes that we need public safety and we need to clean this up. But then you'll have another group of politicians who will protest him because he wants to, clean up,
No, we
the
get that. We know
oversaturation
that.
of vendors, right?
Yeah,
No,
we
but that's a
already know.
reality.
Yeah.
So to not understand that is not to understand that there's different sides of thinking.
So there's obviously a breakdown in communication. I think the protest that we're going to have is going to wake people up, and we're going to say, listen, enough is enough of this crap.
Yeah.
If it takes one person to be out there protesting, because believe me, I've done one man protests before and I can do it. I don't have an issue with that. Okay, and I'll hold up a sign. But I think we need to get residents there, even if it's 6 residents, just stay there for a few
Listen,
hours outside the office.
We're ready. We're ready. We're ready. We were ready to do a rally in the next few days and a press conference, right? One thing is we want to say thank you to everyone involved, everyone, including the people on this call and whoever's not on this call. Everyone who was like-minded, who understood that there was a problem here and that the problem had to be fixed. We're not here to finger point, right? Because that's going to be counterproductive at this point.
Hiram, we have some good questions.
Yeah.
Real quick.
Okay.
Are we also exploring, and this is for Marcy, are we also exploring probe on politicians who could be receiving kickbacks to protect these cartels? That's why it's growing. And then the other question was, try using the emergency cash. It's a disaster for New York City residents. There were some comments made by, the district attorney. What is the district attorney? Why hasn't she had community meetings on this in the borough president? I mean, this is what, and like Marcy said, she reached out to the borough president. Why didn't he have a meeting? Why wasn't any common sense used? I mean, I know we've gone back and forth on this, but I have a feeling they're probably on that task force. So I think what we need to convey in the next, few days to the electeds is that the people that have been involved in this process from the beginning, like Marcy, like me, and all of us, that we all need to be put into that task force. Even if we can't attend the meetings or whatever, there should be some sort of email or some sort of survey or some sort of phone call or update just to update everyone on where we're at, what we're doing. I just think like we need like a newsletter, things like that, to have an open line of communication. Nobody has to like each other. We just have to work with each other. That's all.
That's a good point. Charlton, I agree with you. And I want to just say this. They should be calling people in from the community to be a part of these task force meetings. And, they'll wind up getting more information. I think that's a very good idea.
I think Marcy and I, you with the letter and everything, do you feel like you were able to do more than the task force, the both of you, and also Mr. Ramses? Because this task force was meeting, but nobody knew where these meetings were. These meetings weren't made public. Do you all three feel like y'all had a impact?
Oh, definitely. If we didn't do anything, nothing would have been done, for sure.
Hiram?
I firmly believe that had we not put the type of pressure that we have, especially in the last 6 or 7 weeks, that announcement was not going to happen. Why do I say that? Because we had the problem in January. The mayor came out, they closed a few brothels, they left when the cameras left, and then nothing happened, and the problem got worse, not by a little bit, by a lot. And we had more streetwalkers and more brothels and more operations. So, I find myself in a position that is somewhat difficult because I know a lot of the parties, some good, some not good, in my opinion, right? But at the end of the day, I want to say this, Charlton, if you will permit me. Myself and Mr. Ramirez, we're gonna go out there and we're gonna bring the noise and we're gonna bring the heat. And everyone who's like-minded, I'd love to work. We've been working with Ramses. He's been coming to our meetings.
I really wish he was here
and
today.
I invited
him to come.
we're not gonna let anyone get away with thinking that Corona and Jackson Heights and Elmhurst, we're gonna have all this dumping here. We're not gonna do it, and we're gonna continue to raise the issue.
So we have a question that's coming in right now from one of my colleagues, and I'm sorry, guys, for all of you on the chat. You're probably like, I want to ask questions. When are we gonna get a chance to talk? I do apologize. So, question: how can we distinguish between the street vendor issue and the sex worker issue? An organization like SVP, I don't know what organization that is, serves a large Bangladeshi population citywide, which naturally intersects with Roosevelt Avenue, Jackson Heights. Similarly, in terms of protests and quality of life issues, when we have electeds like Shekhar Krishnan and Steve Raga also representing some of these areas, which are more responsive to South Asian and Filipino voices, respectfully, an effective coalition needs leaders and input from those communities too. So I do want to say that, I'm friends with Steve Raga. I know Krishnan. We always talk. I went up to Albany, had a meeting with them. But I think Shavani Parikh is absolutely correct. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to invite all the people to this event. I think this has to go a little bit in Woodside and those boundaries, and even Flushing. I think we need to bring the Korean community as well on this so that we can really have a discussion on this. And I just think we just need to re-motivate everyone, get everyone, excited about helping. Our role as a nonprofit, and our community advocates is to do what we do best. And that's bringing people together, raising awareness about the issue. Hiram, you're dealing with the police issue. And Marcy, you're bringing all the residents together. You guys are dealing with the police issue and all that. And we're just bringing in the attention and the resources and stuff. But definitely, we're going to work on that. That's a very good point. We also have some other questions that came in. This was the question that I was trying to ask you. So, Kaz Doherty, he didn't really say the number because I think the NYPD doesn't want to scare people. But it says, Hiram, in your rough estimate, and this is from Angela Aquino, this question. She's also a community activist. She's doing some great work. Hiram, in your rough estimate, how many sex workers are there present per night?
A couple of hundred on the street, and then probably about 40 to 50 active brothels.
Holy crap.
We got pictures, we got video.
You mean inside, like where nobody knows?
Listen, we gave it to the department, we gave it to the governor's office, the mayor's office. They all have it. We gave it to them. We went inside the places. We went outside the places. Ramses has done a lot of videotaping. We got another guy who's done tremendous taping. The evidence is there.
And they're also in the restaurants, I heard. Some of the bars and restaurants.
And some of the bars and the restaurants are in on it. This is an organized criminal operation. The feds could come in here and do a RICO act.
That's what I wanted to ask you. So wait a minute. So P. Diddy,
Sean, this is exactly why I said in this meeting today, and I know I get myself a little bit in trouble because then everyone was gunning for me. This is an issue where all our electeds are responsible. AOC, Grace May, Jessica Ramos, Shekhar, Moya, Catalina Cruz,
we know
Rojas,
that, yeah.
Aubrey, because it impacts every level of government. We have a lot of criminal entities operating here.
We know, but if P. Diddy could get prosecuted like the way he did, P. Diddy,
yeah.
Why isn't the feds not doing investigations? I'm sure there has to be an investigation going on.
That's a good question, and I wonder why our congressional reps are not asking for that.
Right.
I'm glad I'm here because it's crazy. I mean, we're saying it. We reach out to the governor. We're reaching out to the federal government also. This is insane what's happening here, and it's happening. Everybody sees it.
So when you send that letter to the governor, did you get a response? I know you did with the extra manpower, but did they physically call you and request a meeting?
No,
or no?
They did not.
So no meeting with the governor.
There were some back channel conversations. The letter got to where it got. They got the letter. They got the evidence. And they took action. So, we're grateful to the governor. The governor did something that has never happened on Roosevelt Avenue before.
No, we get that. So that letter, was that letter CC to all the electeds in the community? The one you sent to the governor?
It was CC to our Senator Jessica Ramos and to our Assembly member Catalina Cruz. So they got the letter.
We just got a question in from a concerned community member who wants to know where have the community boards been, and so what are their members doing?
I'm glad that you raised this question. The Community Board 3 just had a meeting Thursday. We presented there. We outlined all the issues that were happening and our actions and why we did what we did. The Community Board is very concerned. They have been participating. In fact, the Community Board chair participated in the rally and in the press conferences with us. So they have been very active. Community Board 4 is having a meeting next month. We'll be attending also. We also attended the 110 and the 115 precinct council meetings and ensured that the commanding officers heard. But if there's anyone I feel bad for, is the two commanding officers who have been completely overwhelmed and don't have the resources. So Mr. Ramirez wanted to add something.
I like to add something. We really appreciated the Kathy Holco send the state trooper, Eric Mayor send the 150 police effort. I like to announce right here, the next Tuesday, we're going to close other brothels. That's a very simple. We're going to close other one the next weeks.
I told Marcy a few weeks ago, and everyone was laughing at me like I was crazy. Remember I told you this, Marcy? Why don't all people have to do is stand in front of the brothel, start a protest, and you know what'll happen? If we start out, well, I shouldn't say the R word. I got in trouble for saying the R word at the MT meeting. But if people start protesting and they start blocking the street and disrupting traffic, the NYPD will have to call a level 1 or bring in additional units. And maybe that's how you get the additional units to come in every night. Maybe you do what the protesters in the city do. They block the streets, they block the intersections, but then that would depress the commander. She'd probably be upset.
I think that's what we should do. We did something very similar, and we actually went to the brothel on 99th Street. Myself, Mr. Ramirez, and some of the community folks, and we did that. We stood down in front. We put the signs up. We brought the TV cameras with us, and then they closed down the brothel, at least for a few hours.
Wow.
So that's 99th Street in Roosevelt. That is a 24-hour-a-day brothel, 100 feet away from the massage parlor, which is also a brothel, which they closed down and then reopened the next day. And this brothel is across the street from 2 public schools, PS 19, PS 307.
By the supermarket, right, Marcy?
No supermarket there. Bodega. There's a bodega in front.
Yeah, there's a bodega, yeah. But it's in front of the school, and parents have protested and everything. That place has been shut down like twice, and it just reopens. Yeah.
Right. And so there the critique goes to the police department, who should be padlocking these places, which is another issue that I want to raise very soon, the lack of padlocks. You got to padlock them. You got to find the landlords, because the landlords know who they're renting to. They're making a lot of cash money, and they're doing it at the expense of the community. That day that we were there, we were confronted by one of the parents from PS 19, and she joined us. I just met her that day, and she said to me, "Please help us. I have 2," and she had a little kid. She had a little kid with her. Her son is 7 years old. And I really felt for this one. I have a 5-year-old at home. My son is 5 years old. And when you see that a woman, a mother, is so desperate that she's seeking this kind of help, because who wants their children to be around this? Who wants their children? And I really think that if our other elected officials who have not been on the right side came to Roosevelt Avenue and spoke to the parents, I think it might impact them, right? When you see,
that's why I started speaking out as a mom.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I remember when Marcy was harassed, when people came to a house, Marcy told us that somebody had given her address and told the men to go there.
Yeah, it was weird. I don't know what that was. It was on Facebook, and some guy came.
Really?
And then he kept coming, and then I don't know. I didn't open the door. I had my chain, and I had a knife too. And I opened the door and I asked him, I'm like, why do you keep coming here? Who gave you my address? He was like, I don't know. Some guy told me to come here to pick something up. It was just a whole weird situation. Wow. But people reached out to me, as you as well. Thank you. And I don't know, I guess they got scared and that stopped, but Yeah, it is very scary. That's why, like, I would love to protest in front of brothels, and like I'm brave enough, but at the end of the
But
day, I
I
am.
think first the protests need to be held in front of the elected officials' offices. I
Yeah,
hate to say it,
yeah.
and it's not going to be nice. It's not going to work. I know the cops are not going to like it. The electeds are not going to like it, but it has to be done. Okay, Jack's saying we have 15 minutes left. I know, Jack, but we're having a community conversation. And I think this has been a very productive conversation because we're talking about things we need. One thing we might need from you, Hiram, whenever your office is open, or we might need to come in to
Anytime.
anything, cards and things. It's going
My
to be
my
an all-out process.
Yeah, generally, I'm available Fridays, wide open, like Monday through Thursday. Then I have to schedule, but I'm pretty open on Friday. I have an office on Astoria Boulevard and 100th Street. Everyone knows where I'm at. Everyone knows what I do. So if we need to have a meeting, brainstorming meeting. I would love to do that. Like I said, everyone who is like-minded, right? You know, wants to clean our community and make it better for everyone. I'll work with anyone who has that mission and goal.
Okay, we have so I'm gonna let Shivani Parikh come on because she's been waiting. She actually runs a nonprofit, and she's actually a nonprofit director and executive director. Can you come on? Can we get on, Jack? She's been listening
Hi.
quietly on the call. Go ahead.
Gosh.
Hi, nice to
Hi,
meet you.
nice to meet all of you. My name is Shivani Parikh. I just moved to Jackson Heights. But I grew up upstate. I know some of you call it upstate. It's Rockland County, whatever. We can debate that some other time. But yeah, I live on the South Asian side of Jackson Heights, which I think is interesting because I've been completely, in terms of visibility of this issue, you really don't see it in the 70s. I think it
No.
really is on the other side.
Yeah.
So that speaks to, I think, the social and political work that needs to be done, because you can't mobilize Jackson Heights if you only mobilize half of Jackson Heights. And so like we need the South Asian and Filipino participation in this issue. It's just not going to get resolved without our involvement as community members in these protests, but also the nonprofits that serve these groups, right? The comments that I just put, and I'll try to make them shorter, is that the reason I asked the question earlier about distinguishing between the street vendor issue and the sex worker issue is just because they operate in such different ways in terms of the human beings who are doing that kind of work, why they're doing that work, their desire to do the work legally versus not, right? There's just a huge issue with street vendor permits. Like they are not being delivered in the way that they should be. It's halal carts and Muslim people who are disproportionately targeted by NYPD. And it's not that they don't want to do this work correctly. But I just say this because when we talk about criticizing some of the organizations that then represent sort of diverse groups of people, I think having their buy-in is going to require being really precise with our language. And so I provided an example here where, yeah, it was mostly Muslim vendors in Diversity Plaza who were beaten down by NYPD, which is not their right to do so. It was supposed to be the New York Department of Sanitation, which unto itself is a controversy because that was moved out of the Department of Consumer and Worker Protection. Because now you're talking about street vendors like they're dirty people instead of people who are trying to have a business, right? Even the rhetoric that we're using about what these people are trying to do. On the other hand, and I provided a link, the Asian American Legal Defense and Education Fund, and I'm with the newly formed South Asian Legal Defense Fund because we didn't have one. They're currently trying to sue the New York City Department of Buildings over not responding to FOIL requests. This actually relates to something that was said much earlier here about why don't we know who the landlords are for these buildings that are employing these people? I provided a link to a website because my full-time job is at Queens Legal Services, and we use a website called, and I'm in the housing department there, so I represent tenants against landlords. But there's a website called Who Owns What, and I think that's an interesting place to start. But yeah, I just think that as we move forward, the vendors and the sex workers, because they just the ways that they may pull in or push out solidarity with the South Asian community, being mindful about where opportunities to come together is going to be critical. So thanks for letting me speak. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and we would love you to come to our human trafficking forum, and I'm sure you can help us with your resources as well. Put that together. We got to get the South Asian community involved because guess what? Once the police start clearing out the other parts of Roosevelt, where do you think it's going to come? It's going to come in the 74th. Little India is going to be facing it.
It's already spreading in other
Yeah.
neighborhoods. Yeah.
And actually, it is in Little India. I hate to say it. I know, because 69th Street, you go by the gas station, it's over there now. Some of our Passengers United members have told us it's even past Queens Boulevard. You know where 40th Street is? It's starting to show up there in buildings and stuff. So, yeah, they're going to move. They're on the move. So we just have to organize, get everyone together. We have more people coming in. So Angela wanted to make a great comment. Angela, come on in. And thank you so much, Shivani.
Hi, it's a pleasure to meet everybody. And thank you. This is a very helpful information. I know this is an issue that has been plaguing not just Roosevelt, but the whole New York City who has heard about it. So first, I'm very glad that Hiram is the city councilor in that area, because we definitely would.
I'm not the councilman. I'm a district leader.
Oh, the district.
Former councilman, but district leader.
Okay. But thank you for doing something about this, because as I keep on mentioning earlier, this is a highly organized crime issue. So cartels and stuff like that. So we have that. We need a very sophisticated bus to get these guys. And with that, and thank you so much, Massiel, for your hard work. But I will say this is a very sensitive issue as per safety also. So we all who would like to do something like this, we have to take that into consideration. I'm just being very blunt. My grandfather was a police officer and a detective, and and my family as well. So I'm very familiar, and it is a dangerous. I'll just say it straight up. It is a slippery slope. So that's one. We also have to take into considerations the politicians who are somewhat what we feel like we're getting the hint that they're kind of supporting these things, because maybe they have benefits from it. So these are what we're dealing with. And so what can we do about this? There's probably what is going to be our solution and our move. First, the more we call into them, the more media coverage we get. Of course, you know how politicians love to be in front of the cameras and to be the one to be able to solve that issue. So that's fine. We'll take it. But we do need media coverage on this and calling on to the politician and really hounding them. So media presence is gonna be a synchronized media presence and calling out on specific politicians. It will be we're literally calling them out. And we have to consideration, maybe they are being threatened. We want to give them a benefit of maybe they're getting threats from these cartels, they're scared of so these are also the things that we need to consider, and what will be our solution on it. So like the level of politician who is really in charge of this, I think Mayor Adams would like to make the initiative to be able to help something like this. As you know, that it is quite an earthquake for him right now. So this is definitely something that.
So Angela, we wanted to know, I know you do a lot of work with the United Nations, right?
Yeah.
You've attended events there. We would love to bring the UN into this for a human trafficking summit. And I think there's a lot of professionals in the United Nations who deal with this, with the NGOs. So I'm hoping that, we can collaborate with you and we can invite them to this event on November 30th. Is that a possibility?
Yeah, actually, I spoke to them. That's why I'm bringing up the cartels, because some of them, this is their history, right? So they know that it's not just about when you deal with human trafficking per se, that there is an organized crime behind it. And some of these people have actually gone undercover and, sneak into these cartels. Like, especially when you're young and you're like, oh, let's try to get them. Like, this happens to them, but it's a very, the answer is yes, we have to do invites. But yeah, it goes back and back, like the human trafficking and the organized crime behind it. Like and they're usually bigger than what we think. Right. So that's all those things. And what is the solution? Right? We need to deal with. Do we ask for a specific task force to deal with this? That would be the ground, but also on a different level detective, or is FBI going to be involved in this? Is Homeland Security going to be involved in this? Who are we tapping? And
so our plan is to invite all of them for the human trafficking summit. It's going to be work, but we're going to get it done. So as long as Hiram can get us the place on the 30th, and he's willing to help, get this, I think that makes it much easier on us. So then we can just get the agencies there. Once you have a place, it's easy. And then the technical things, my colleague and the Passengers United team will try to help out and get as much as we can. And I'll get the electeds involved, and I'll talk to them as well, because this is an urgent issue. I just want to thank you.
Can I say something on your date? Did you say November 30? Of course, I'm not trying. Isn't that after Thanksgiving? Or is that, what is your date?
No, Thanksgiving's the 24th.
Okay, because we just...
The 28th.
No, it's the 28th. Thanksgiving the 28th. Yeah.
Oh, it is the 28th. Oh, yeah. Why would it be after the 28th, Hiram?
Yeah.
Can we pick another date? Hiram, we can't hear you.
Also, if I may, like these schedules that you want, you might want to, just for your consideration, think of a weekday, because this is considered work for them. So a lot of them, as silly as it may sound, might not work on a Saturday or a Sunday. So, so that's something, because this would fall into a work thing.
Yeah, we already have a couple of groups that have confirmed as far as the panelists. There's going to be a panel discussion. And we're confident that we're going to have a very big crowd at the event. So, on
the November 30th?
On the 30th, yeah.
But
okay.
I also think, Hiram, there needs to be I understand you want to have a panel, but there also needs to be workshops to do the training. Because I think what we went through with the books, I think what people really want is just give me, just tell me how to help people get from point A to point B to point C,
Yeah.
And just and also the communication with the electeds. What are the electeds doing? What do the electeds need from us? How can we help them? I think, and also the police department as well. What do the police need? Maybe the police could do a training on what to identify, how to report it, what are signs of human trafficking, and things like that. I think there's so much information out there. We just need to put it together in a way that people can process it, take it, and then go back to their nonprofits and then train their members, and stuff like that.
So I'm totally in. Mr. Ramirez and I are already about an hour late to an event.
Okay,
we had
sorry.
10, but we've been on this, I think, about an hour and a half, 2 hours. But I want to just say thank you to Charlton for putting this together. Congratulations, Masi. And Ms. Aquino, if you want to reach out to me, my email is on the chat. And then we should probably have a little organizing meeting, at least, sometime next week to talk about the forum. And, myself and Mr. Ramirez is still here with me. We're available for whatever it is. And, thank everyone. God bless them. And we're going to sign off.
Okay. Hiram, real quick.
Yeah.
Before you leave, can we pull up the certificate for Marcy? I'm sorry, guys. I know we really got caught in this conversation. It was a really intense conversation. Let's just show the certificate. Congratulations, Marcy.
Big up.
Massiel Lugo, for her courage, determination, and selfless dedication to her community as a special education paraprofessional, mother, mentor, and leader. Saturday, October 19th, and 2024. And as you can see, we signed it. We also are giving a certificate to your daughter. And let's see if we can pull that up as well real quick. I know we're running short on time. Can we pull it up? Jack? Jack, is it there? Okay, I think Jack got lost or something happened.
But thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, so we don't have the certificate? Jack, are you there?
I don't know. I think he...
Oh, wait, sorry, I was muted.
Oh, he's right. Yeah.
Yeah, can you get us the other certificate, Jack?
So
Thank you.
Her certificate is coming.
Okay.
But everything will be printed and you're going to receive everything.
Yeah, and what we're going to do is try to put an event together and everything. So we just want to thank, and Ricardo Pacheco is here. Mr. Pacheco, come on in. Danny Nankumar, our chairman, is
Hey,
here.
what's up, everybody? So, Shelter's Chris.
All right, yeah, Chris, thank you so much. Let's just get to real
Yeah,
quick. No, I understand, Chris. Yeah, but Chris, let's just get to the people who were here first.
No problem.
Ricardo Pacheco, come on in. How are you? Come on
Hi,
in.
how are you? How's everyone? Thank you.
Good, good. So, Mr. Pacheco, I'm sure you heard the conversations we had. So we're going to put together a human trafficking summit. I think what we might have to do, guys, is November 30th is going to be the day that Hiram does it, and we'll all be there. But I think we should have a day just for workshops. It's like this, we don't do everything in one day and we branch it out. So we'll work on that as well. So what did you think of the discussion? You're actually a community board member, you're a community resident. What did you think about all of this, the conversations that transpired?
Well, just to correct, I'm not a community board member.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Actually, no, I'm the president for 8 years for the my cooperative, and actually a president for the advisory board for our seniors here in our area, and volunteer many things and do other stuff. So I'm also part of this group that that has done. Again, thank you to Massiel for starting this ball rolling, which is just taking on a new meaning, which is an amazing thing that I don't think people will even realize that it was possible. A lot of times we get very frustrated, and I'm one, believe me. And as soon as I saw the march, I was reaching out to Massiel, I was reaching out to Ramses, and I was saying, you guys are good, and let's do something. And so, and I'm glad that you guys started this. And Massey, thank you and congratulations. But yeah, no, I'm always, I've been living here for about 21 years in this community, and I have never seen it like this. I do have grandkids, they're teenagers and little ones that I think we all need to come together and just work on making this better. And I tell a lot of my, I live on 90th Street, closer to Northern Boulevard. What I tell everyone around here, that we live on 34th Avenue, is that just because you don't go to Roosevelt Avenue, you don't shop there, you don't, for whatever reasons, don't be fooled for a second to think that Roosevelt Avenue is not coming to us, because it's already here. We have the vendors right here on Northern Boulevard and 90th that we have to sort of tell them that this is not the place to be. We have all the stuff that comes, and remember, I'm in the middle of the shelters, which is 15 of them on East Elmhurst, and then we have Roosevelt Avenue, and all that's coming together and suffocating the area that people feel that they're safe, but I don't think anyone's safe if we don't put an end to what's happening in Roosevelt. So that's why I'm very committed to that, and whatever I can do, and whoever I know that I could invite to these meetings and this conversations, please include me, and I'll try to be there. So thanks to everyone. Thanks, Charles, for putting this together. And I know you're always in somewhere fighting for people in our community, whether it's the buses, the trains, everyone. So yeah, I appreciate that, and again, Massey, congratulations, and thank you.
And yeah, we're gonna have another event to honor Ramses Frias sometime in November. So we're working on that. We are gonna need help from the local community for the rallies, the events. We need people to come out. I know that's very hard, but we gotta work something out, either a joint letter or something. But we've got to get these electeds involved, whether they like us or not. It's not about that. It's about, like, for instance, I'm upset with Jim Manila, but when I need something, I go to them and I talk to them, right? It's a relationship. Things happen, sometimes you agree, sometimes you don't. We just got to work it out. So thank you so much, Mr. Pacheco. We look forward to all of your support and hope you'll be coming to that rally on Monday night, the Riders Alliance thing. We'll discuss that.
Yes.
Jack has started screens. Oh, there we go. Jolene Lugo. Masi, you see it?
Yep, I see it. Thank you so much. She's gonna be so excited. Yeah.
So we're gonna frame it. We're gonna put it in a nice frame, and we're gonna have like a dinner. We're gonna invite all of you to come out, And Passengers United will pay for it. We want you there, and we'll be there with you. All right, and we'll give you the certificate.
Congrats, Angela. Congrats, Mazzy, by the way. I know I'm kind of.
Thank you.
Oh yeah,
Thank
and
you,
Christopher was the one who introduced us, right? Christopher came to. So Christopher, yeah, I know I always criticize Christopher, but Christopher, you got something right, Christopher, brother Christopher, you're good.
Yeah.
More power to you. So now we have other people on here. And I'm sorry, guys, we just got caught up in this conversation. Our chairman, Danny Nankumar, is here. Also, we had a member, his name is Farhan Sharif. Guys, Farhan put together a very nice video about you, and he actually posted it on a social media page. Do we have the video of Farhan? The video that Farhan posted? He actually works for State Senator Sanders' office, but he came here today as a private citizen. Do we have that video, Jack?
Which social media did he put it on?
Passengers United. He shared it on Instagram. He put it on the Passengers United. I shared it on I believe our Facebook page, and he was just here, and then he just left, and he came in and came out. I don't know where. I'm sorry, guys. It's so hard for me to keep up on this chat. But where is it? Where is it? You have it? It was a very nice video. I do want to give him a real big shout out because he put this video together. Let me see if I can send it to you. Let me see if I can send this because I know we had it, and I wanted to give Farhan an acknowledgement because he's been doing a lot for Passengers United. Jack, do you have it on your end? It's on Instagram. It's on the Instagram Messenger. I sent it to you there. Or go to Farhan's Instagram. It should be there.
I'm looking.
And Judy Ortiz. So while we're waiting for the video to upload, let's go to Judy Ortiz. Judy, come on in.
Hi.
Hi, Judy. Sorry about that. Yeah, go ahead.
That's all right. My friend Wendy, she's a supervisor at my job, and about maybe a couple months ago, she said, I asked her, what do you want in your community done? She says, oh, Roosevelt Avenue is horrendous. She says, with all the sex trafficking and prostitution and robberies. And she says, something has to be done. So I thought New York community should change. I said, contact them NYCC. And then she says, it's so bad. So all of a sudden, as soon as things was happening, when 1010 Wins radio station mentioned about it, it looked like Saddam and Gomorrah. As soon as they mentioned it, all of a sudden people woke up and all of a sudden they start trying to improve it.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, sometimes it takes us to raise our voices, to get stuff happening and stuff going. We are trying to find that video, and we can't find that video. Give us a few seconds, guys. I know it's on Instagram. Just give me a second. There's Farhan. Hold on.
You got it?
We're trying to get him to come back in.
Yeah.
Give me a second. He just came and left. He said he put a message on the chat. Okay. Jack, were you able to find it on Instagram, on his Instagram?
I was looking at his.
It was a very nice video.
Okay, I see two of them.
Yeah, and so we're trying to find it. Just give us a second, guys. We're gonna get there. Let me see if I can pull it up. I'm trying my best. I'm trying to do this as fast as possible. What is his face? Oh, here we go. Give me a second. I'm gonna send this to you, Jack. Wait, how do you do this reel? I'm trying to see how to do this with the arrows. I'm so bad with this, guys. I'm not good with social media. Jack, if you go on his reels, it's on Farhan Sharif's reels. You just have to go back to a day or 2 days before.
Was this the one where he was speaking at our previous meeting?
No, he didn't. He gave Massiel Lugo a shout out. It was a very nice video, and I try to share it. It's in his reels. I don't know how to go back to these reels. It's not here. I know we have it. Let me see. Give me a second, guys. We're gonna get this video if we can find it. And he tagged Passengers United in it. I'm surprised you can't find it.
Yeah, let me look again.
Surprised we can't find it. Just give us a second, guys. Let me ask for Ron because we're trying to find this video. Give me a second, guys. It was a really good video. You can't find it, Jack?
I still haven't been seeing it.
Okay. Oh man, that was such a good video. And we gotta show that video. I can't believe we lost that video. Oh man. It was a really good video. It was on our Passengers. He tagged us in it. And there's no way you could find that. I
Are you
mean,
sure it was on
I know it
Instagram or was it
was
on something else?
it was it was there. I mean, it was, but we can't find it, guys. Oh man, I hate when this happens. But it was a very good video, and we're gonna try to do a YouTube video. We'll definitely promote it and we'll post it out. Sorry, guys. I'm not a very technical person. Jack's a technical person. Everything's all over. It's very hard when we do these live streams. But in closing, Marcy, what do you want to see in closing?
De la niña.
Le va a hacer el party.
Go ahead, Marcy. We got you.
Oh. Am I unmuted? Yeah. I'm like, how do
I can hear you.
Okay. What was the question?
So in closing, I mean, what's your hope for the future? What do you want to say? I know this meeting's gone on longer than we thought. I told you it would be long. When we do Passengers United meetings, you know how we do it. We go all out.
Luckily, I was free. Yeah. Hopefully in the future, honestly, what I hope to see is us working together. That's really the only solution that I think would make the biggest impact is everyone just working together. And I obviously know when it comes to politics, people agree with certain people, but like if you don't agree with a Democrat or Republican, like that's not something that people need to be focused on. And just because you don't agree with certain things that someone is saying, use that opportunity to network yourself and speak to them and have them hear you out and know the way to approach people. It's like not attacking everyone, and because with that, nothing's gonna get done. And if, we just all work together and keep using our voices, and people need to remember um how much our voices have an impact. I mean, look, I'm like, I remember when I first met you in the rally, you were like, "Oh, you're smaller in person."
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it doesn't like matter. Like you might not think that you have an impact, but you do. Like it doesn't matter who you are. And like I don't have anything to do with politics, or I didn't know anything about this stuff. I'm just like a mom and a paraprofessional, and look how far that has gotten me.
Exactly. And where do you see yourself 5 years from now?
5 years from now, I don't know. That's so hard because now people are expecting certain things from me. But I am in school for psychology, so I will be in that field. I do work with children with autism. But who knows? Like, yeah.
I think you should, definitely pursue leadership opportunities and
Yeah.
things like that. That would be great. Now, what did you think about the discussion with Hiram today and what Hiram had to say, and the plans that have been discussed? What are your thoughts on that?
Honestly, I agree with everything he had to say. It was a great conversation. It's, like I said, we might not agree with a lot what people say, and it's not even about disliking the person. It's just their views, but working together, it would just make the biggest impact. And how we spoke was, it was great. Yeah.
And definitely, we're going to honor your daughter at the next event, and also Mr. Frias, Ramses Frias, have him there because he did a lot of work.
Yeah, he
I
did.
mean, and he faced a lot. So
I
we
mean, he
gotta
was
have
the first person to like basically save me when I was getting attacked by all the vendors. He came to my rescue, really.
So we gotta honor him, and I hope you all will be there.
Yeah.
And we got to keep the momentum up. We can't give up, because what happens in 90 days? And it might not even be 90 days. The way the NYPD is going, it might be 30 days or
That's
60
my whole
days.
point. Like, great, there's 90 days, but that's during the winter. What's gonna happen during the summer?
Summer. It's going to be a disaster. So yeah, we just want to thank you. We're so proud of you. And all of our members are going to see this on YouTube. And please, guys, all of you watching, I know this has been a long video. Please share this. Please talk to people about human trafficking. And we're going to be posting all those resources.
Congratulations again, Mazzy.
Great.
Congrats,
Yeah,
Mazzy.
hold on,
so much.
Christopher. Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
one thing, Marcy has also agreed to take our training course at Passengers United. I know you're going to be doing that as well.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and so Marcy actually has been very inspired by Passengers United, the work we do, and we do a lot of work. Subways
No,
is our
thank
thing.
you so much. You honestly, you know so much. Like, I've learned a lot from you. You really care about the community, and you've really done your part. So thank you as well.
Sure. I appreciate that, Marcy. And thank you to Jack Narenberg and the team and all of you who were on the chat today. Our chairman has actually been patiently listening to this. His name is Danny Nankumar. He's our board chairman. Danny, would you like to say a few words? I guess not. He's probably on the job or he's somewhere, I guess. Yeah, he does a lot of gardening stuff around the house and he's always doing things in his home. It's busy, all kinds of stuff. But Danny will definitely reach out to you and all of our board members will. I think we covered everyone that's here. Yuki Endo is listening from Japan. We actually have one of our Passengers United members. It's nighttime or morning in Japan, and he's been listening. Yuki, you want to say anything to Marcy from Japan?
That's cool.
Where are you, Yuki?
I see him.
Oh, we can't get his audio, right?
Yeah, I think he's trying.
Yeah, and then as a control.
Yeah, the audio's not working yet.
Yeah, sorry, Yuki, we're having issues with your audio. And I think we covered everyone. We also had Andy Pollock. Andy, yeah, come on in, please, for a second. He's one of our loyal Passengers United members as well. Go ahead, Andy. Take it away.
Yes, I'm here, guys. I've been here the whole meeting, and I'm literally getting ready to head to Long Island in a bit. So this is perfect timing. So, Massiel, I want to thank you for, expressing this problem. Obviously, we know Jackson Heights, the 7 line, is the lifeblood of that neighborhood. And we need to feel safe riding the Flushing IRT, and there's no question. So by you bringing this to everyone's attention, we greatly appreciate you for all the work that you've been doing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so I think we have to end it there. It's actually 3 o'clock now. I know everyone's got things to do. I want to thank all of you on behalf of the Jesus Christ. Whoa, take that out, Jack. Jack, can you get that out, please?
I guess someone hacked it.
I am shocked right now.
That's insane. Holy crap. Wow.
I don't know what's wrong with
He's
you.
our chairman. Mr. Chairman, take it away.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. I want to say something real quick. The Roosevelt this issue's been going on for years now. Where I work at too in Roosevelt, a lot of girls over there, you'll be walking in the trip because we do a lot of work over there. They'll come and they'll pull me in and tell me, oh, I want to do that. I said, no, I do not consent to anything like that because, I don't want to be doing no illegal stuff, but like things got to change over here. With the street vendors too, there's a lot of issues that's going on. So I really don't have much to say, but NYPD needs to step in. The marshals need to step in. They need to padlock these places and do whatever they can to stop this illegal activities that's going on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Danny Nankumar. Okay,
No problem.
so guys, we do have to leave. I think we covered everyone. Marcy, thank you so much. On behalf of all of us at Passengers United, a big clap. And we'll definitely be in communication with you. This has been a Passengers United special presentation. Please look for it on YouTube. It'll also be streamed. We'll have the links up on our Facebook page. And please, before we all go, If you'd like to make a donation to Passengers United, you can actually go on our website. We actually count on donations. Jack, can you show people our donation page at Passengers United so people can see it real quick? And our nonprofit, we do not get government grants. We don't get money. We actually rely on individual donations from the community. Help us help you. So you can click on, I believe, more, and just right there on our donations page.
Yeah, you should
And
definitely share this. Yeah, let's.
Yeah, so it's at passengersunited.org/donate. And if you go to more, support us, if you see support us up there already, that's what you click on. And it takes you to this page. And if you scroll down, so we use a system called Zephy to process our donations. And unlike most donation services, Zephy gives 100% of your very generous gift to us instead of including processing fees and stuff like that. And Zephy actually relies on donations as well to stay afloat, although they are totally optional. And let's say you wanted to make, let's say $25, for example, whatever it is. And with each option you see, you will see that there are that they go to different facets of what we do, and they are incredibly helpful. And you can actually see exactly what these would be going for. And as you see, once, of course, you fill out your information, additional information if you want, and then this is what I was talking about before. So Zephy relies on donations. However, they are completely optional, and if you don't want to give anything to Zephy, you click on this. I think the default is 17%. You go to Other, and you just type in $0. So that's if you don't want to give to Zephy. Of course, you can make it whatever contribution you want, and then you can pay using your credit or debit card, US bank account, and then that's basically it. And you can do this on your phone too. This is all on our website. It's all mobile friendly. We try to make this as simple as possible, and we greatly appreciate your contribution. It really helps us so much.
And we also need volunteers at Passengers United. So you can go to join our team, all aboard. We need volunteers, and you can apply now. So we do a lot of great work in the community, and we have a lot of positions and a lot of things there. So again, guys, on behalf of everyone on the Passengers United team, thank you for attending the special presentation, and thank you again to Massiel Lugo. This has been a Passengers United special presentation. Thank you so much this afternoon for joining us. Bye-bye. Thank you.
And one more thing, keep in mind we will be having more upward and forward events, so please stay tuned on our website and on our social media.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay. And save the chat, Jack.
If I just did. All right, so
Okay,
the
we're
moment
done.
I get off, the live stream is going to be available.